Well, an election year makes it more difficult for Congress to pass timely legislation, and that includes the 2012 Farm Bill. In this week's Bottom Line, Neil Melancon is standing by at the Twyla Studios back in Baton Rouge. And Neil, I know you have been covering this, and as we heard on our program, a lot of farmers are not optimistic that a farm bill will be passed this year, but what are you hearing?
Well, Mike, most congressmen aren't very optimistic about it either. It's all speculation, but the evidence is pretty strong we're not going to see a farm bill this year, primarily because it's an election year. Almost everything else but ag policy is on the plate right now, so Congress is likely to punt till next year with a one-year extension until after the election. I spoke with Representative Charles Bustani, who had a farm bill listening session with House Ag Committee member Bob Goodlatte recently, who said even if it did come up, it would be subject to a lot of the rancor and partisanship we're seeing on Capitol Hill right now. On top of that, there's the usual conflicts between the Midwest and, well, pretty much every other area of the country in terms of what the specifics of the farm bill will entail. One thing that almost everyone does agree on is that when a farm bill is crafted, it will contain cuts to almost every agricultural spending area. As long as the budget is still a problem, programs such as counter-cyclical payments will remain a juicy target to members of both parties. Despite the fact that these programs represent an almost negligible percentage of the overall USDA budget, much less the country, it's all about what they can cut that will offend the fewest voters. That said, the one-year delay in a new farm bill may actually be favorable to preserving some of that money that it would have otherwise been cut, if for no other reason that no one will be up for an election next year and they have a small window to actually do some good. The bottom line is, no one knows what the new farm bill will be like, much less when it will be passed, Mike. So the best thing to do is keep writing and calling your congressman and telling them what you'd like to see out of any legislation in Washington.
Well, Neil, I guess like everything else here on Capitol Hill, we will have to wait to see what happens. Neil Melancon, thanks. And remember, you can listen to any of Neil's reports on the Louisiana Farm Bureau radio network. For a list of stations where you can tune in or listen online, you can click on over to our website, twylatv.org, and click on the LFB radio link on the left side of the homepage. That does it for this edition of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. Join us again next week when we take you to the Capitol in Baton Rouge, where the 2012 legislative session kicks off. Until then, you can watch any of our stories online. You know the address, twylatv.org. For all of us here at This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Michael Dana from the nation's capital. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope to see you again right here next week.